We're back.
Hello?
Hi.
Are you coming to the happy hour? I need to vent.
I'm still at the office.
Oh my god, are you trying to be CEO or something?
Yeah.
You'll get there, but I'll see you at happy hour. Hey Izzy, I have a question for you.
Tell me.
What's a brand you think doing really well right now on TikTok, online, just in general?
I think Set Active is like one of the best at like getting to the like younger generation and like doing the trends, but also like balancing like showing their brand story and everything. But they recently did a collab with this influencer Chelsea Park, who has her own like kind of like leisure brand, jeans and stuff, but they're under fire right now because they just did this collab. It dropped today or yesterday, I don't remember, but their whole site crashed whenever it dropped. And
oh my gosh,
they were like not expecting all this traffic obviously on their website, and neither of the brands have like seen that much volume before. But the biggest problem is everyone's saying online is that like the two founders of the brands like got on TikTok live whenever the thing was dropping, and they were like laughing about the fact that the site was crashing.
People were mad.
People were pissed off because they were like, why are you laughing? This is a like big deal. Like, we're just trying to buy your product, but you just think it's hilarious that your site's broken. Like,
wow.
And things sold out really quickly, and people were just like mad that they couldn't get their hands on the product.
Well,
but
it shows they have a lot
they
of
have
fans.
An insane audience.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see like how they're gonna bounce back from this.
Yeah, they've always done really well on TikTok.
Yeah.
And
yeah, especially with the influencers, like.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But it's just very interesting. And I think it's interesting people complain about things selling out during like collab drops and stuff. Mm-hmm. But obviously they're limited quantities because it's a collab. Like, yeah. You're not supposed to just sell it to everybody. Mm-hmm. But it's just very interesting that the consumers like hate that. But
totally.
You would think that it would make them want it more. But maybe it does. I don't know. Anyways, have you seen any Stunty new ads recently?
Stunty new ads. Well, this is one that's good for the pod. I have recently been loving what Pizza Hut's been doing. One is they opened up a random pizza shop in the middle of nowhere. It's like pizza for one, and it's like you go and eat a pizza alone. I know that they have an advertising agency called Mischief that does a lot of their Stunty creative work. And another one that is super creative, pretty stunty, is allowing you to order your resume on a pizza box and send it to someone. So when it comes to creative ways to apply to jobs, I think they tapped into something, you know, that the job market is hard. It was an insight that they played into, and they did correctly, and it was a stunt, and it got buzz.
Yeah, totally.
Very smart. I mean, that would get you a job.
Yes.
Especially if you want to work for an advertising agency. If you want to work in marketing, you know what's trending. You send that in. Yeah. It's genius.
No, it is genius. And also, like, they have to open it immediately because it's pizza. It's going to go bad.
Pizza. They
can't just put your resume on the side and forget about it.
So I thought that was genius. And transitioning into another conversation about advertising agencies, the general public audience doesn't realize that there's a whole advertising agency behind some of our favorite things, like the Grimace Shake for McDonald's, like that's Wyden and Kennedy or whatever it is.
Yeah. So like, how does that work? Like, what's the structure of the ad agency in relation to the brand?
So they'll brief in an advertising agency saying, we want to do something stunty around this moment or this idea or this product, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just depending on their marketing calendar or what's coming out, what they're launching. So they'll kind of brief a creative agency, and the creative agency will go in and collaborate internally between their strategy team, between their creative team, and now social teams, and just figure out and present ideas and in collaboration with the client. But a lot of times, you know, advertising agencies are the ones behind these genius ideas because they're literally agencies, just like that's what they're meant to do, is come up with smart ideas.
Totally.
And so actually, you know, even going to Parsons, a lot of people don't know that this is a field you can go into, advertising. Like when you hear the word advertising, you kind of think it's like an old school term a little bit.
Yeah, and I feel like for advertising, you always like would think of like TV commercials, or at least that's just kind of what I thought it was whenever I was growing up, or like the billboards on the highway.
Yeah.
But it's so much more than that.
It's so much more now. It's evolving with social media. Like everything has to do with social first. Even commercials are now influenced by social, and billboards are influenced by social. Everything is social.
Totally.
And so the market and the industry is changing, and it's a really fun space to be in. And if you're an up and coming creative, or you want to be in the creative industry, you're striving to be an art director, a copywriter, creative director, whatever it is, I recommend looking and going into advertising. It's also a great job and field out of college because you really get experience to different industries, different brands, just a lot of stuff, and you can figure out a path and career plan from that. So it's a great industry, and I love it. I work in advertising, and it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Well, and I bet it's fun to work on different brands because you're not doing the same thing every day.
Exactly. But you work for a brand, so tell us a little bit about that.
I do work for a brand, and I do work in marketing. But I think that a lot of people think that, oh, marketing, fun, cute. Like, you just think of the little social media girlies, you know? But my side of marketing is a little bit different. It's a little less of the creative side and more of, like, analytics and strategy, which is very cool. I used to not be on this side of it. I used to be on the more creative side, but now I'm on this more data-driven side, which is really cool because instead of just kind of thinking of something and hoping that it will work, like now I actually like dig into the data and say, oh, this is working, let's continue doing it, or oh, this isn't really working, let's pivot and go in this different direction.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, but
we're on the other spectrum of marketing, and sometimes I have to do more performance marketing things, and I'll text her and say, hey, how the hell do you do this?
How do I divide up my email list? And I'm like, girl,
like, how do you segment? Like, what does that even mean? Help me.
It's so funny.
But she's like, have you checked this? Have you checked that? I'm like, what the fuck is that?
I think another funny thing is when we were starting this podcast, like we were brainstorming stuff and like getting excited, texting each other, you know, ideas and whatever. And you're sending me all these cute, fun, like reels and stuff. And then I'm sending you SEO.
Yeah.
Like,
perfect synergy.
How we're going to rank higher on Google is going through my mind.
We're a good marriage when it comes to business.
I know. I think that's the key to it all. So, since work takes up a lot of our time, what is one thing that you do every day to keep you motivated and get you going throughout this whole journey?
Great question. There's something that I have started to hold myself accountable for every day going to work, and that is having a morning routine.
Yeah.
And it's something in the past I did not have at all. Mm-hmm. And once I started to implement a morning routine, my entire day is better. And what I mean by a morning routine is giving yourself enough time in the morning to prepare mentally and physically for the day.
Yeah, totally.
It influences your everything. And you need to have that time in the morning to yourself or to work out. And whatever, go on a walk, go grab coffee, just something to kind of like get you up to a good mood.
Yeah.
But another thing is something I've really held myself accountable for is getting ready in the morning, doing my makeup, getting dressed well, or caring about my outfit. There was a period of my life where I did not give a fuck about what I was wearing, putting on makeup. I would just show up to work, and like, you just don't feel confident that way.
Not at all.
And you know, this is a hot take, but I think the more you get ready in the morning, the more effort you put into your appearance and just looking put together, the more confident you're going to be in that meeting room, because you're like, fuck, I look good, I feel good.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak better.
Well, like,
and it's advice that I share. It's a little bit of a hot take because I'm sure a lot of people won't agree with that, but you agree with that, right?
No, I totally agree. I think like I used to be a lot more casual, and I think it also depends on like the culture of your office for sure. Like you can fall into like showing up in jeans and a t-shirt or whatever, like sweatpants if your office is chill like that. But I think like dressing up a little bit nicer, like whether it could just be one a little nicer of a top with your jeans.
Yeah.
You know, it's like baby steps, but I think it makes like a huge difference. And I definitely feel better. And especially when you look a little nicer, people give you more compliments.
Totally.
And then you're like, oh, I'm doing good today. Like, I can do this thing that's been like weighing over my shoulders for the past few weeks, but I'm going to get it done today. And I think that's a great thing. And I think that also having your nails done is a huge
We just got our nails done.
We did just get our nails done. New nails.
Oh my gosh, getting your nails done, because people will be looking over you while you're doing your work.
Yes.
And you're typing, and if you have ugly nails or your nails just look like shit, it kind of makes you, I don't know,
self-conscious a little bit. But like, some people don't care, but
as long as your nails aren't really long and gross, like without polish. That's I cannot. I look at someone completely different if they have really gross, long nails with no polish, or they're not, like, it really grosses me out.
It is gross. Like, you need to have manicured hands for sure. And also, you're looking at your hands all day on the keyboard. Yep.
You'll write better emails with prettier nails.
Yeah. That's hilarious. But it's just one of those things that you have to build into the budget.
You have to. Like,
I used to say, oh gosh, I don't want to get my nails done. I don't want to spend money on it.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I don't even care. I have to do it.
Totally.
I want to do it. And it makes you feel good.
It does. You have to also just, if you're working hard and doing what you need to do, it's really important to also prioritize self-care and treating yourself.
Going to the gym, waking up early, which we are trying to get back on that grind.
Yeah.
It's comes in waves.
I have a question about moving to a new city. We both moved here independently or through college or for a job. So what's your advice to all those that are like want to move to New York or want to move to LA or want to move to Miami, wherever, but are a little scared?
I think my biggest advice would be just to do it. Like, it is a scary thing and it is an unknown, and a lot of people are very uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
But I think that it's the best thing that I could have done for myself at this age, because it really makes you get out there in the world. It opens your eyes to so many things that maybe you weren't aware of whenever you were growing up, because we all grow up in these bubbles and that's all you know. And like, you always kind of dream of these places like New York or whatever, but you never think you can actually like go there and live there and do the whole thing. But you just have to do it. And I think it helped me, like, knowing you moving here. It really did help me. I think
knowing
it would
people,
be
finding someone
really more scary to go somewhere where you don't know one soul.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. And I was lucky that I had you and a few other people here to make me more comfortable. But I really would say you just need to do it. You learn and you grow tremendously faster than you would if you just stayed.
Yeah. And also, it's important to try and have a plan before, look for a job, have a plan. It's scary. You don't want to get here and be like, well, what do I do now? But the thing about just doing something is that you figure it out. You can get a random job in the meantime while you're figuring out a career path. If you can find roommates, I mean, you can make it work. It's New York. Millions of people live here. Millions of people live in all the big cities, and they make it work.
And everyone's doing the same thing that you are. Yeah. You know, it's like, I feel like that's a cool thing about New York, is that everyone's here hustling and working and trying to figure it out. And like, everyone has that same mindset a little bit. So it makes it like kind of an electric feeling.
Yeah.
But I also will say that, like, even if you don't have a job, like, and you want to move here, just do it.
Another piece of advice I have for those interested in or are scared in general to take the next step in their career, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Totally.
I think a big stigma is, you know, you're starting your career and asking for help means, oh, I'm just asking for a job or I'm using someone. No, like, it's okay to ask for help. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there that love to give advice and love to help.
Well, and they had somebody help them. So that's what they want to do, is help you.
Everyone wants to give back.
And another thing, like I was saying earlier, like, if you don't have a job, just move here. So many people have told me, you know, they either had this happen to them or they know people that this happened to. But let's say you're trying to move to a new city and like you're not having that much luck getting interviews and whatever, because you're not physically living there yet. So if you change on your LinkedIn or whatever, like your location as the city that you're trying to get this job in, your chances for getting an interview will increase.
Totally.
Which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
But just like this, the smallest things can change.
So true.
How do you balance a social life with everything?
Balancing is something I'm trying to figure out. And I think that's why we have this podcast of You'll Get There, because I am not fucking there.
Yeah.
I am struggling with balancing a social life and this podcast, having a lot of other ambitions, a 9 to 5, but usually which 8:30 to 7 or 8. Sometimes it's not even ever a 9 to 5. I don't know why that's a term, because most jobs end at 6, FYI.
Yeah, seriously, like don't expect to get off at 5 ever. And
it's freaking hard. I mean, it really is. But again, you have to make the most out of every day. Even we're trying to do social media. We're trying to do social media for this podcast. You have to think about the times in your day that you can leverage, like walking to work. That's 20 minutes for us.
Yeah.
We have to make our social posts during that, because like we don't have time to do it any other time of the day.
The thing is a lot of those days, that's the only time you have to yourself.
Seriously.
But now we were going to start thinking about the podcast every 5 seconds.
Getting a routine is so important. I have a friend at work who, her and I are very motivated, and we've started this thing on Saturdays where we meet up for coffee in the morning, and we do like personal work stuff, because we're like, we need to work on ourselves. We need to work on the brands we're ambitious for, or whatever it is. And we hold ourselves accountable to those days. So I would say it's really important, if you're like really have some goals for yourself, to set aside dates or times, and even with a friend, so you're holding yourself accountable to do that every week. You're not missing it.
Totally.
And I think that's important.
I agree. And I think like setting fake deadlines for yourself is huge.
Yeah.
Because like if it's a side hustle thing, for example, this podcast, how many times have we been like, let's do it tonight, and then we're like, oh, this thing came up, we're gonna do it the next day, whatever. Obviously life happens, and like this is a side thing, but we want to start prioritizing it more. So it's just about discipline and really being motivated to want to do it, and making time for everything that you want to do, because you can do it all.
Having a passion for something outside of your field can help you in your field. I think that any sort of passion you have, just lean into it. Sometimes there's things in your life that you like to do, like if you like to draw, or you like to do graphic design, or you like to paint, or you like to make music. Those things can be infused to anything you do. Like if you're wanting to apply for a job creatively, you're having a hard time applying a job, but you make music, go rap about it, or make a song about it. Make a song
and submit it as your application.
Yeah. Like be creative with how you're going out into the job market, or selling yourself like in those interviews, and bringing those passions to the interviews. People want to see that you're passionate. You're not just there to show up. Like you can apply your passions and your interests to the job. Something interesting that I was thinking about, but
no, totally. And I agree. I have one story that always sticks in my mind when it comes to this. In college, I had this one professor, and she told us her whole life story the first day, and I was like amazed by this entire story. So basically, she grew up her whole life wanting to be a runner, like go to the Olympics for running. And so she spent so many hours of her day training and training and training for all of these goals that she had in her running career. And one year she made the Olympics, but leading up to the Olympics, she shattered her whole leg. And so she couldn't ever go compete and run again. And so she kind of had like a little bit of an identity crisis, because running was her whole life. Like that was going to be how she made it. And then it just all crumbled in one day. And so then she decided that she's going to move to New York City, and she's going to become rich, and she's going to be a boss.
Wow.
And she was like, but how am I supposed to do this, because I don't have any work experience? And so she told us that what she did was she had a bunch of Nike sponsorships from her running career. And so she put an old pair of running shoes into a Nike shoebox, And she wrote a note inside and said, I had this passion and Nike believed in me. They sent me these shoes, and see how worn in that they are. That's how passionate I will be about this job.
Wow.
And so she sent that shoebox to a few different places to like as her application to these jobs. And she got the job because of
Amazing.
that, with no prior experience.
I love those stories.
It was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
I probably maybe I messed up a few parts of that story because I can't remember it exactly,
Yeah,
but
that will stick with you forever.
Totally, because it's like you do something a little ballsy and say, you know what? I don't even care if this doesn't work, but I'm gonna try.
Yeah,
and it makes people remember you, and they're like, wow. This is not another piece of paper. Like we're talking about the pizza box.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that story.
I know, it's such a good one. I think so.
But
what are you going to do this week to feel like you reached your goals?
I need to start writing more, like reflecting on everything. Mm-hmm. Writing down some goals.
Totally.
That's important too. What about you?
I think I'm just going to take some more time to myself this weekend.
That's good.
Because I feel like I've been going and going, so I feel like I need a little me time.
Leverage weekends and relax and
Seriously. Have fun. Okay, this was fun. We'll be back next week. Bye.